beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight is. Woo! There goes Starlight again. So anyway, I love you so much, and I am out here. It's my second day at this park. This is such a beautiful park. And so anyway, I hope you're getting out in nature like Starlight is. And I want to say a big, huge thank you to all of you who are here loving and supporting Starlight. And also, if anyone would love to send any love donations to Starlight, you can on my Cash App, and that information will be here. Ping! There it is. And so anyway, hello, my name is Starlight. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and you can find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman. Plus, don't forget you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, plus give me a thumbs up, and you can also leave a message down below, beep beep beep, and you can share my videos with your family, your friends. Don't forget to ring the notification bell, and you can check out my playlist. Plus, you can find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman Starlight. Today is I got a question for you. Who are you? Yeah, who are you right now? Who are you right now? Who are you? And the reason I'm asking this question and making this video is that who you think you are right now doesn't mean that's who you're going to be tomorrow or next week or next month. You know, a lot of us has been programming thinking that, you got to stay the same, be the same version that you were last week. No, my name is Starlight because I've been doing the inner work, and there's many versions of ourselves. That's why we are many. We're all united, whether you like it or not. We're all family here. So welcome, family, to my YouTube channel. We're all family here. We're all connected, and so there's no separation there, even though this matrix, this stimulation, they, have tried to separate us and divide us and get a war with us, between us, we're all family here. We're all connected. So like with Starlight, somebody a while back, I've had different comments on my YouTube channel about Starlight talking in the third person. Well, guess what? Who I was in 2000 is not who I am today. How about you? Who were you in the year 2000? Why did I say that year? Well, that was actually during, let me see, 2000. Where was Starlight? Believe me, you don't want to know. That's when my whole world got upside down. But you know what? It doesn't matter. And where you are right today, right where you are right now, that's where you're supposed to be. So a lot of times we think that we got it all right, and that person's got it all wrong, and that person's got it all wrong, but guess what? They are where they belong right now. I am right where I belong right now. You? Yeah, you're right where you belong right now. So somebody might not understand anything that Starlight talks about because they're not there yet. Could be somebody out there that I could meet, and I could have a really beautiful conversation with them. But when I hear them talk, I'd be like, hang on, Starlight's got an itch here. I might understand some of the stuff that they're talking about, but some of the other things that they might talk about, it might be kind of over my head, It'd be, I'm not there where they are. And that's okay. Because we're here in a university, we are multi-spiritual beings having a human experience. We're learning how to be human. So we are many. We are many. I ought to change the topic to that. The title, we are many. There's many versions of Starlight. You know, like, even who I was when I was 16 years old. Are you the same person? I hope you're not the same person when you were, who were you? You know, that's a different version of yourself. And I have to say, when I went to church, and this is, Starlight doesn't go to church because, you know, what I've learned is really, there's religion and spirituality is people that are religious are people who are afraid to go to hell. And spirituality are people that have already been there. So Starlight's already been there. And so I am not religious. I am more spiritual. I believe in God, but I don't need to go to church to prove that I am a Christian. So I am free. You know, I had to go through I had to go through some education. God, this is like a university. I had training. God's put me through some training. So, you know, the people that are in church, that's where you belong. And even if I don't go to church and I don't punch the clock in and show up and say, hey, Pastor, I'm here, it doesn't mean that I'm a bad person because I don't, you know, God wants us to be real. God wants us, you know, to be authentic. You know, we can fool a lot of people if we want to, but you're not fooling God. There's no way, you know, God knows you better than you know your own self, believe it or not. I'll tell you what, God knows the inwards of your thoughts, your heart, and everything, your motives, you know. Why do you go to church, you know, like, you know, why do you go where you go, you know. So I can't knock somebody because they go to church, because where they are, that's where they belong. And somebody can't knock me for not being there, because, you know, God is the one I answer to. And when I used to go to church, wow, you know, the church people, where I was, they acted like only the people that were in a church building had it right. They acted like the people that weren't going to church, they were evil, and they were, you know, backslidden Christians, you know, because they weren't into a building, you know. So Starlight, I am free from all that. And I did meet a young lady not too long ago. She's like, ooh, yeah, I'm a backslidden Christian. And I understood where she was coming from, because I used to say the same thing. I felt guilty, I felt bad, I felt ashamed, and, you know, but because that's how a lot of churches cause people to feel. But we're not supposed to judge, right? So who am I to say anything about somebody that's either going to church or not going to church? You know, it's my decision that I don't go to church. And because somebody's going to church, it doesn't make that they are better than I am, because they might walk into a building and go to church. And you know, just because I don't go into a building that's called a church, even though the body of Christ is you know, that's the church, not really the building, you know, is that you do your thing, I'll do my thing. You know, you're where you are in church, I am not. It doesn't make me like a bad person. I can have a relationship with God without being in a building. But there's a lot of churches out there that teach their congregation, you know, like, stay away from those people that are backslidden Christians. They, you know, they used to go to church and now they don't. Those are the bad guys. Oh, and watch out for the ones out there that don't even know God. Watch out for them. So it is something how, you know, not all churches are like that, but there are a lot out there, you know, where they are judging people, you know, on who is who and what is what, and it's a control system, you know, a lot of times. So you got to be careful of that, you know, is that, you know, like all these people here, you know, I was here all morning, and, you know, I've been here all this morning. Just because I'm not in the building, it doesn't make it that I'm like the devil, you know, you know, the Antichrist, because watch out for Starlight. She's not in the, you know, I am free from all that stuff. I am free. God put me through training. God taught me some lessons, and where I am is where I belong. So, and who I am today, I did a guided meditation this morning about letting go of old programs. We've been programmed and conditioned to think who you are today is who you're going to be like a month from now. When you really start understanding that everybody is where they are meant to be right now, and I don't focus on what I can learn from everybody, but I'm focused on me right now. Yeah, I care about all these people, but they got lessons to learn. These people have lessons to learn, and God knows if a person goes to church, whether they're 100% going there for all the right reasons. And when I went to church, to me it was a big acting scene. It was like a big acting, a show and tell kind of thing. A lot of fakeness going on when I went to church. And no matter what church I went to, the two churches that I went to when I was in there for lots of years, it was a lot of pretending. People were wearing a mask, like putting the mask on that, hey, I'm a Christian, and a lot of backstabbing and judging, criticizing people, tearing each other apart. And I'm like, why do I want to be a part of that? I want to be free from that stuff. And that was a lesson for me to learn long time ago. Because I used to be in the church where we thought we were perfect, dressing, so modest, wearing dresses all the time. Guys weren't wearing dresses, but the women were wearing dresses all the time, every time, whether they wanted to or not. They were forced to. Their free will was being taken away, and that's what I was having a hard time with. Starlight was like, this is my God, so I had to deal with it. Those were lessons for me. God gave us a free will to decide. So whether you're going to church or whether you're going or you're not going, there's some people, they're very forceful. They want to control you. They want to tell you that you say you're a Christian and you're not in church, well then you're not a Christian because you're not, here in the building. So because you're outside of the body of, this church building, you're not a Christian. But it doesn't make somebody a Christian by being in the church, The devil could walk in, and act like a Christian and be in the church and, not be a Christian. So don't think that because somebody's not into a building, and just because they think different than you, it doesn't mean what they think is wrong. Maybe they've already been where you've been and learned what you are learning now, and maybe they graduated, like Starlight graduated. I graduated church. This is a whole nother thing that God is teaching me now, is about spirituality. So at once upon a time, Starlight was faithful going to church, serving God and all that stuff. It doesn't make me any less than a Christian of who I am today. I'm not out there partying. I'm not smoking pot. I'm not having sex. I'm not fornicating. I'm being as honest as I can possibly be every single day. I am right where I am supposed to be because everything is written. Everything has been already. So we can't say that I got it all. I got all the answers. No, because you know what? We've been programmed to believe. We have all these. It's letting go of those thought processes, programs. We've been programmed to believe all this stuff. So it's about letting go of those old programs and, letting it go. And that's what I'm doing here today. Today is about sitting with myself, being in the now, not getting ahead of God, not being in a rush, not being, today's a cloudy day. I had plans. That's not God's plans for me today. I was going to go somewhere today, but that's not, now it's like, no, you know what, the clouds, like the animals, they know by the weather. They know, like right now, it almost looks like it's ready to rain. But Starlight was going to go to the water, but Now, the universe has got other plans for Starlight. Starlight, no, that's not, I want you to do something else today. Oh, okay. So the animals know, they know when a storm is coming. And that's where I want to be totally in alignment with God. So even if somebody speaks a different language, and that's why they really wanted to divide us, because we all have a piece of the puzzle. If we put our piece of our wisdom that we learned, no matter what country you came from, no matter where you are, we all have the pieces to the puzzle. And if we come together, we would be stronger together, and we'd be able to put the whole thing together, to all the lies, and let go of those, and the programs that we've been taught, come together and figure this out together. We need each other. That's why they try to separate and divide us, and have us to fight against each other. And they know these people that run the world, they knew what they were doing. So just because, you go into a building that's called a church, it just means that there's lessons you got to learn yet. You got to be authentic and real when you're going. If you're going just to please the pastor and please the people in the building, you're not fooling God. God is the one that can see everything. God knows the intent of your heart, and there's times in certain churches that people are really happy in there, but not a whole lot is going on. Not, the preaching is not really getting them to change. It actually keeps them small and keeps them confined, and it's a control system where they don't really want you to grow and expand and find out really who you are. So you really got to really be cautious of the kind of churches that you go into if you go to church. There's other versions of yourself. Who I am today, believe me, who I was in 2016, I was ready to end my life. I was doing drugs. I was having sex with strangers. I was doing all kinds of crazy, wild shit in 2016. My life was upside down. The COVID really is what I needed, because it really got me back on track where I belong. It shaked my world. It really did, but I needed that. So I'm grateful for COVID. I'm grateful. It's sad that we need something that bad, to really change people's lives. That COVID, took people out of relationships. That COVID it forced people to spend time with their family. Wasn't that so bad? There's a lot of parents, they can't wait to get their kids out of their hair. Get out of my hair, go to school. Not me. I was never like that. I didn't want my kids to go to public school. I wanted them home with me so I can homeschool them. And I was able to do that with my son when he got older. So who are you today? Don't let people confine you in a small little box. If there's no growth, there's a problem. There's a problem. You should be growing. You should be changing. If you're not growing and you're not, becoming a different version, a greater version of yourself, you really got to look at, are you in a cage? Are you in a cage? They got you in a cage and chains on you and you can't see them? We are in a spiritual warfare. There's churches out there, they don't want to see you grow. They want to keep you there and confined. They don't want you to learn from other people. They don't want you to learn from people outside the church, because it's a control system to keep you locked in. That's why they don't want you to, they don't want you to talk to backslidden Christians, because they think that, hey, if you talk to them, you won't come here anymore, and we won't be able to get your money, and you won't be able to do service here. We don't want you to, stay away from those backslidden Christians. Stay away from people that are not in the church. It doesn't make it that they're not a Christian because they're not in the building. Anybody can walk in the building. A homeless person on the street that's doing drugs and all that, they could walk in the building, in the church building. It doesn't make it that they're a Christian. It doesn't make it that they're not. we all have, we're all doing something that's not, pleasing to God. But God is not the way they, created, made God look. God has been very gentle with me, very patient with me. When I was in church, that's not how they made God look. They made God look so different. They made me think that God hated me because if I wore the wrong clothes, I felt ashamed of myself because of, what I was programmed to believe and think. That's not God. That's not God. So be careful of what you believe in a building, And there's people that go to church, but they never pick up their Bible. Or they have Bibles that really isn't supposed to be the Bible, So there's a lot of confusion. If you're not growing where you're going, growing where you're going, there's levels to this of finding out who you really are. Who I am today is not going to be who I am. I'm letting go of old programs. We've been programmed to believe that this is it. When I was in the church, I wasn't growing. I was not growing. I thought I had all my shit all taken, hey, I'm perfect. I thought I was perfect and then, And then the church that I was going to, we were always pointing at how wicked everybody else was. But then I realized, this is wrong too. So I realized that I'm a Virgo. This is what a Virgo is about, is trying to be perfect. I'm letting go about trying to be perfect. I love God, and I am the happiest girl in the world doing what I do right now. And so I'm not people-pleasing. I'm not going to have a man that calls him a man of God to control me. No, I have God that guides me every day and leads me and helps me to understand things. Just because some people don't understand where I am, it doesn't mean that I'm evil and, wicked. There's a consciousness, everybody's at a different consciousness level. So we're all where we belong, no matter where you are, is that I can't judge other people for where they are, because that's where they belong. So we gotta say, hey, where they are, I can help them, I can, guide them. But it's up to really what they want to do, where they want to go with that. If they want to go to church, they can go to church. And I was going to get food at a food pantry, and they were like kind of forcing people into the building to go, what? I don't want to go to this service. I came here I need food. That's, But it was like they were forcing kind of people into the church, forcing them into the service. Starlight wouldn't walk in there. And I go like this to the people that were handing out food. The guy that was trying to get me to go in there for a service. And I talked to a lady too. There's 3 people that was working at the church, okay? Helping people to get food, but really trying to get you into the, if you give because you want to give and you're not looking for anything in return. That's true giving. That's giving. That's like, hey, I'm going to give you this food. You don't have to give me anything. I'm giving from the heart. That's what real giving is about. But they were given food, and they wanted you to come to their church. You could say, hey, here's some food, and if you want to come Sunday, we got church service Sunday. Great. Okay. But then, a big question, 3 people that were there, and I asked, excuse me, because I wouldn't walk into where they were preaching. I wanted to find out, hi baby, I wanted to find out what Bible are they using here? 3 people that are working for the church, guess what? 3 of those people had no clue what Bible the pastor was even using. Red flag. I'm like, wait a minute, how is this possible? I ask you a question and nobody knows the answer. What Bible are they preaching out of? You wonder why I don't want to walk in there? You don't even know what Bible he's preaching out of? Oh, what is it? Next week you're going to preach out of this Bible or that Bible or whatever Bible? Sorry, Starlight's good. don't even know what the pastor is reading. What Bible are they reading out of? So they're where they belong. So I will not let people force me into something. I don't know. I'm good. You don't even know what Bible they're using out there, you know? So anyway, I love you so much. Who you are today. I hope you're growing. I hope you're, I hope if you're in church, I hope you're becoming your greatest version. I hope you're being that change that you want to see in the world. I hope you're not being a clone. I hope that, you're not being controlled by others, and, because that's where I was before when I went to church. So just because something doesn't make sense to you, what I'm doing, it doesn't mean that I'm evil and wicked for, this is where God has me. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm exactly where I belong. And wherever you are, that's exactly where you belong. I'm working on becoming greater versions, and I'm going up. I'm letting go. This is what it's all about, finding out who you are. Who are you right now? Is not who you're going to be, next week or next month. I hope not. Each time I'm shifting and letting go of different foods. Each time, like today, I did some exercise at the gym here. I wanted to do basketball. I might be able to do that next. So I love you all. Thank you for watching my video. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, give me a thumbs up. And you can leave me a message down below. Beep, beep, beep. Plus, you could share my videos with your family or friends. And don't forget the notification bell. And check out my playlist. And you can also find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman, Starlight. Thank you for watching. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace.